at times there's, some negativity that's surrounding here. And, we just got here. So, we don't feel like we were involved in the past. And we got a lot of winners on this team.
He's a rookie. So, as one of my mentors once said, let's not, give him a gold jacket right now. I'm glad he's my quarterback, our quarterback.
It's awesome. Like I said, any win, no matter who it is, winning games is the best feeling in the world. The franchise has been a losing franchise the last couple of years, but that's not who we are right now. We need to continue to build and build and build each and every day and have these guys with positive mindsets and, get away from that losing mindset.
But was this a statement against a team like that?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is because, you have to have a lot of respect for that team. They just come off of winning the Super Bowl. Quite honestly, like nobody really expected us to put up a performance like this.
This is Big Blue Blitz with your host, Joe Mauceri.
Oh, it was a statement win for a franchise that has been looking for one for years. Hello and welcome to this edition of the Big Blue Blitz. I am Joe Mauceri, and we've got a lot to talk about. A Giants win on Thursday Night Football in primetime against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Our guest, NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy, called it, I believe, the best Giants win since he's been covering the team. Is that right?
That's right. Since 2018. Not the most complete win.
Okay. The most complete win, because obviously we can't take away all the playoff win. Right, of course. But, Ryan, what'd you see from the Giants against this Eagles team? Do you believe the franchise is moving in a different direction after a win like Thursday night?
It's so funny, Joe, because we sat here last week and crushed them for losing to the winless Saints. That's what the NFL is. It's a week-to-week league. I believe there's excitement around the Giants that I haven't seen since my first season in 2018 when Odell Beckham and Saquon Barkley were teamed together with Eli Manning. So is it headed in the right direction? I think it's still going to be up and down and a roller coaster, but there's a reason to watch the games. There's a reason to be excited, and there's unpredictability. Like I would have told you before the season that the Giants were definitely losing to the Broncos. They could lose to the Broncos this week, but they could beat them. And it's been a while since you thought, hey, the Giants could win this game. Like anything can happen. You usually knew what was going to happen, and it was going to be an L.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, you got these two guys headbutting on the field. You got shirts ripping off post-game on the field. Ryan Fitzpatrick's getting excited about him. They just don't seem to know any better, right? And we talk about it all the time of the veterans. They don't want to lose, but sometimes ignorance is bliss. And in this case for the Giants, it seems like Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo say, don't put any of that stuff on us. We haven't been here for any of it. We're just going to go out and ball. And for me, it feels a little bit, obviously there's play calling and things that go into it, but there's an element of backyard football. We just love to play this game, and we're going to go out there to do what it takes to make a play for this team to win. Is that what you're seeing out there when you watch these two guys play?
Exactly what I'm saying. I came of age in this business, Joe, covering high school sports. It kind of reminds me of high school sports, like two bros who sit together at the lunch table and have their Letterman jackets and go out and want to hit the other team in the mouth on Friday night. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Skattebo and Dart are not the Giants' best players right now. There's 5, 6, 8 guys better than them. But those guys, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Malik Neighbors, those guys, they've been indoctrinated into losing. That's just what's happened. There's some muscle memory in that, some fatigue, I expect the worst to happen because the worst keeps happening. And it's not like they don't go into the game expecting to win, but losing doesn't punch them in the mouth the way it used to when they first came in the league. And they're exposed to the business side of it. There's a naivete with Dart and Skattebo that is refreshing, I think, to the guys who have been there, done that, suffered too many losses and seen made too many business decisions. And I think that's rubbing off on the veterans.
Certainly Cam Skattebo not making any business decisions out there. I mean, I think it's the defenders. He's making defenders make business decisions out there when they decide whether or not they're going to tackle him. Jaxson Dart, whether it's a smart investment to go with this or not, He doesn't make business decisions out there. He's all about he's looking for the immediate returns on diving for first downs and taking defenders head on. But that athleticism has been contagious throughout the team. You saw Brian Burns cheering on the guys and getting amped up on the sidelines when these guys were making plays out there. And the offensive line has taken notice as well. Here's what Andrew Thomas had to say post-game on Dart's athleticism when he was asked about it.
When Dart sees a little pressure, starts running around back there, and then all of a sudden he takes off and he gains yardage. What does that do for you guys?
Just live by the sword, die by the sword. He's a mobile quarterback, so and especially at home, we can hear the crowd get loud once he starts to scramble. So we just try to strain as much as we can because we know he can make plays for us.
As a guy who gets paid to stop running backs, is Cam a tough guy to bring down? You know, he's not a big guy. But
that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. Yeah. I ain't got my chance to wrap him up, so I don't know.
I got to say, I think it's a good thing that they don't practice like they did in the old days, you know, in full pads, because if this Giants defense had to go against Cam Skattebo in practice, they would not be well on Sundays. And you know Scat would not be taking it down a notch because he doesn't take it down a notch for the pregame interview. Forget about taking it down a notch in practice. Here's my question. Is this sustainable? Because obviously we've seen guys bring some momentum from time to time. You get a quick injection, but we know how violent this league is. Do you think it's sustainable for the Giants?
It's sustainable if those two guys are healthy. Like, I don't know, you know, the way that they're playing right now doesn't leave them, it leaves them susceptible to injury. I mean, Dart's had to get concussion checks in 2 of his first 3 games. He's cleared them. Obviously, there's the Brian Daboll Kent fine that's probably coming soon, but he can't keep coming out of games. Skattebo's too small to run the way he runs and play 17 games. But as long as they're on the field, it's sustainable because that's what they are. And look, the Giants they've said this since this regime arrived. We want to win the line of scrimmage. We'll want to play physical football. And they didn't really have the guys to do that. They kind of have the guys to do that now. They're still, look, without Malik Neighbors, it's still going to be hard to win games against good teams. But like I said, they're capable of it now, whereas in the past, it didn't even feel like they were capable of it. So I think it's possible to sustain it here and there for the rest of this year, and then you'll have some excitement going into next year. I wouldn't be counting playoff spot yet this year, Joe.
Yeah, no, well, not yet. But as Brian Daboll says, it's a long season there, Ryan Dunleavy. And the NFC East right now, all of a sudden, seems to be wide open. Go ahead. You want to comment on that?
That used to feel like a threat when they said it's a long season. Like they'd say that, and I'd be like, oh, it is a long season. You're right. But now it's like they're saying it like optimistically, like we have time to turn it around. Like that's not how they used to say that.
Yeah, the Jets, and you can are in the middle of a long season, and it's only in week 6. You can listen to hear more about them on the Gangrene Blitz, which is coming up at 8:30. But you mentioned Brian Daboll, and obviously he is possibly facing a fine for going into the blue medical tent. That caught a lot of attention, so much so that John Mara, who's on that committee, came out and commented on the appearance of Brian Daboll just going over there. What did you see on Thursday night with Daboll checking on his quarterback?
That's a nice way to say it, Joe, checking on his quarterback. Look, there's 2 different things he did wrong. The going in the tent is a or peeking in the tent is a violation, no matter how good his intentions were. And then he screamed at the doctor, which outraged medical professionals everywhere. That's not going to sit well with the Health and Safety Committee. It's ironic that NFL CMO Dr. Alan Sills was on hand at the game earlier Thursday doing a media tour of the concussion injury tent and told reporters that were there, players and coaches are not allowed in here. And then like 4 hours later, you have the head coach peeking inside the tent. So that certainly isn't going to go well. I think we've seen $100,000, $150,000 fines for teams for violating the concussion protocol. That's probably what you're looking at here, whether they split that between Daboll and the organization or one shoulders most of it. However they do it, probably looking at a 6-figure fine for the Giants. I just think that it's a risky precedent to set to have coaches involved in the concussion protocol in any way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I get it from Daboll's perspective. You're trying to make play calls in the middle of a game and figure out, do you have this guy available or not? Because they haven't taken him back there yet. And so you're just trying to figure out how to do your job. But yeah, you can't go in and interrupt the medical professionals evaluating him. Go ahead.
The problem is the problem with Daboll too is like this is him on the sideline, right? Like we've seen him chew out assistant coaches. We saw him flip out at throw an iPad at Daniel Jones's first year, right? There we've seen him. This is the look he gave Thomas McGahee one year when he was all red faced. Like this is him on the sideline. He crossed the line when it involves the medical people, not the football people. He has to figure out a way to calm himself down in games.
I don't know if you know this, Ryan Dunleavy, but apparently coaching an NFL team in game can be a pretty stressful job.
I figured. That's why you get paid $5 million a year to do it.
That is true. We do not get paid $5 million a year, but we do have to take a little break here for our sponsors so that they can bring in some money for this fine establishment here. So we're going to take a break. After that, we're going to talk about some other guys who made contributions on Thursday night and look ahead to the matchup with the Broncos. Stay with us. The Big Blue Blitz is coming right back.
Welcome back to Big Blue Blitz.
We are talking about the Giants' big win on Thursday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles here on the Big Blue Blitz. I am Joe Mauceri, and as always, I am joined by NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, obviously, we talked a lot about Dart and a lot about Skattebo, but there were a lot of guys who contributed in this game that led to the Giants' upset of the Eagles. Who stood out to you of those role players on Thursday night?
I thought little Jordan Humphrey made a huge catch, and then he's been singled out by a bunch of his teammates for his blocking on the perimeter, which obviously this was a very run-oriented game plan, and to have the receivers blocking, like that's something maybe Darius Slayton isn't as good at, or Malik Neighbors certainly isn't as good at. So maybe you got a little something there that you wouldn't have from Slayton and Neighbors, who are, obviously better weapons down the field than Humphrey. Cordell Flott's interception, Joe, obviously was a total game changer. And that was the game where they ended the stupid cornerback rotation with Flott and Deontay Banks. Made no sense. People started screaming about it. Giants reacted, and I'm sure it was part of their plan all along, and not just reacting to the noise that they scrapped that plan, and Flott came up huge. And he even admitted after the game that vote of confidence in him spurred him on to make a play like that.
Yeah, and it was obviously, I think Dexter Lawrence had some tongue-in-cheek saying they're both even now in interceptions, and was talking about him running down the field there. He'll catch Dex one day. But when you look at contributions from guys like that, especially a guy like little Jordan Humphreys, who was elevated off the practice squad but was not there the previous week, when you think about those guys making impact plays, do you kind of look at they should have been elevated to these spots sooner? Or are we just saying that these guys are just, they got the reps now and they're finally reaching that potential?
Well, I mean, I think Flott should have been the starting cornerback too way earlier. He won the job in training camp, and they didn't give it to him. I'm sure his teammates noticed that and were scratching their heads about it. Little Jordan Humphrey, I know the world reacted like, how could he not have been up against the Saints? Like, look, he is not. They didn't sit Jamar Chase. But yeah, he obviously made an impact in the game. He earned his spot. He'll be up again this week. He'll probably be up again. He'll use all three of his elevations, and then they'll probably keep him on the team or assign him to the active roster, and he'll be the 3 or 4 receiver, depending on what hey, look, Jaxson Dart got a little out of Jalen Hyatt too, which hasn't been something easy to do. He went back to him too after Jalen Hyatt had a ball go through his hands down the field. So a little bit of confidence there built for Jalen Hyatt. With Humphrey, should he have been up maybe in the Saints game? Probably, but I don't think that, that wasn't going to stop the Giants from turning the ball over 5 times.
All right, so you mentioned what Dart did for Hyatt. You mentioned what Dart did for Humphrey. What about Wan'Dale Robinson? Because obviously, not having Malik Neighbors, going to be that main guy, there's a huge difference in the NFL when you're getting covered by the opposing team's top cornerback out there. And he went out there and he made plays. I feel like with quarterbacks, whether it was Brady, I'll even throw a guy like Tony Romo out there. You had guys who, no-name guys who, under those quarterbacks, managed to have a career. A guy like Miles Austin comes to mind, right, with Romo. Or you throw in, like, I mean, pick a receiver on Brady for Brady, whether it was Deion Branch, right, or Julian Edelman, Wes Welker. I mean, whoever you want out there that became a star. I mean, are you seeing that from Dart elevating the play of his wide receivers? And if that's the case, I mean, does that speak to this kid's potential?
He did that on Thursday for sure. Like, did he do that in the Chargers game when he threw for like 113 yards? I don't know. I mean, look, his first 3 touchdown passes went to Theo Johnson, the tight end, and he certainly elevated Theo Johnson because he hadn't been really a factor before that. He did it on Thursday. If he can keep doing it, that'll be huge, because once Malik Neighbors went down, everybody's like, oh, the Giants have nothing at receiver. Now it's like, Wan'Dale Robinson is a good player. I don't know if he's capable of being a number 1 receiver. He's going to obviously have a chance here. He's certainly capable of being a number 2. That was a hell of a play he made against the Eagles. And look, now you can justify, Joe, if the Giants wanted to, not because they're going to the playoffs, but because they want to be competitive and because they want to develop Dart. If the Giants wanted to make a trade for a wide receiver, I wouldn't trade for a rental, but if you could trade for somebody who's under contract in 2026 and you could trade a draft pick, before they beat the Eagles, I would have said that makes no sense. You're going to be a 3-win team, keep your draft picks. Now you're going to be like a 6-win team or something like that. Like, you could convince me to do that. And then say Wan'Dale's a free agent. Maybe you don't re-sign him, or maybe you do and you have Darius Slayton's your 4, or you look to trade Darius Slayton. You could convince me to trade for a receiver who's under contract in 2026, who can before then help Dart help Dart's development speed up in 2025. You could convince me of that, whether that's an Olave or
I was about to say, Waddle. Is there a name that jumps out to you? Yeah, go ahead.
Olave or a Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy, somebody like that. You could convince me of that.
That'd be really interesting if they're all of a sudden making investments in this season, and then obviously you build that rapport for next season, which is why you don't want them to be a rental over there. It seems like the relationships on this team, I mean, are stronger than they've ever been since I've been covering the team. It seems like they genuinely are rooting for one another. It seems like they are excited by the way they go play out there, and whether it's the defensive line, which you're seeing it, or the offense on the whole. And they're healthy, right? You mentioned it outside up front. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is down, but that offensive side of the ball is very healthy right now, and especially up front in a way that they haven't been in years past. You said you wanted to watch one thing in particular going into this game on Thursday night when we spoke last week, and it was how the Giants played in the trenches, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Well, I mean, when you look at it, what's your evaluation? What'd you see? Why were they able to have success there?
My evaluation is I'm a genius. Like, I don't know. That's how I feel, right?
And humble.
They ran the ball as well as they run in this rivalry in 15 years. What did 39 carries, 100? I don't have it in front of me. 39 carries, 180 something yards probably. Skattebo had 98. They had 3 short yardage touchdowns where that's basically where you're just smashing into each other, and they got those 3 short yardage touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, they had, staying on the offensive side of the ball, they protected Dart. I think he had 3 quarterback hits. They had more sacks. They had 3 sacks on Hurts. Burns had 2. They stopped Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley had first 2 carries were 31 yards. His final 10 carries were 27 yards. So they stopped the best running back in the NFL. I thought on both sides of the line of scrimmage, they dominated the Eagles, which is the Eagles' identity. And I don't care that Jalen Carter didn't play on defense and Landon Dickerson didn't play on offense, because no one cares when Kayvon Thibodeau didn't play or Andrew Thomas didn't play for the Giants. They still got their butts kicked up front. And this time the Giants returned the favor.
All right, so all of a sudden, you said it to start the show, that you would have looked ahead to Denver and said, oh, okay, that's a loss. Now the Giants are catching Denver, coming off that London trip. Here's what Andrew Thomas had to say about facing the Broncos, one of the top defenses in the league.
Speaking for myself, I know I'm a true competitor, and the rest of the guys in the room as well, and we want to play against the best. And right now, I think the Broncos have the most sacks, the most pressure, so they're one of the most talented groups up front. So we're definitely excited for the challenge.
Obviously, we saw what the Broncos defense did to the Jets offense. I don't know what you take away from that. But what do you think about the Giants now going a mile high and possibly pulling off this upset?
Yeah, I think it's possible, which I wouldn't have said. You know what I mean? I think you knew the Giants were going to lose to good teams in the past. Now you don't know that they're going to lose to good teams. The Broncos have 30 sacks. They have 75 quarterback pressures. Feels like all 75 were against the Jets, but that's not actually true. Look, one of the reasons Jaxson Dart has been so athletic, has been such a playmaker, is because unlike every other rookie quarterback ever, he doesn't have to worry about his blind side. Like Andrew Thomas is a brick wall on that side, and he's going to face Nick Bonito, who is first in the NFL with 8 sacks. That's a great matchup within the matchup.
So all of a sudden, if the Giants manage to go down to Denver and pull off a win, what does that do to change expectations for the season? Have expectations already changed? I mean, you said, we're not talking playoffs, but I mean, all of a sudden the Eagles seem vulnerable. They're going to play them again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they gave him bulletin board material too, with Kayvon Thibodeau, saying a 4-letter word about the Eagles. I would say, have expectations changed? Mine have. Look, internally, the Giants thought they were going to compete for a playoff spot at the beginning of the year. So
yeah, but teams tell you that every year. Teams tell you that every year. Yeah,
but I know that because that was the off the record conversation that I was having that I haven't had in the past, is that expectations were higher than in the past. And so starting 0-3 hit them like a sledgehammer. So my expectations have changed. I think that they should be competitive. I think that they should be in most games. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games, but I do think they'll win more games than I thought they would win. More than anything, Joe, I just think that that they have a chance now to be exciting and and they have a reason for fans to watch the games, which in November and December didn't happen for the past couple of years.
I have to say, with baseball season over, I really did think the football season was right behind it. The Giants may have had one foot in the grave, but it seems like they're trying to climb out right now. And I will tell you what, those 2 rookies are going to do everything they can to keep them alive as long as they can. Hey, you said it. Giants fans have something to watch, something to be excited about. It has been a long time since we've been able to say that about this organization. So make sure you tune in every week here to the Big Blue Blitz. Ryan will be back. I will be back. Maybe the Giants will do their part to get him to drink some coffee this year. And you can tune into the Gang Green Blitz on Pix 11 Plus coming up next to see if the Jets can ever do their part. Ryan, thank you so much for the time as always. Everybody out there at Big Blue Nation, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next week.